In movies, criminals are often portrayed as suave, sophisticated figures robbing banks and museums with tailored suits and high-tech gadgets. Unfortunately, reality is a little less glamorous, and most robbers are considerably less intelligent than the characters that we see on the big screen today. We are going to discover it firsthand by reviewing a police roster of bumbling criminals, incompetent thieves and idiot shoplifters, taking a look at some seriously stupid thieves who were caught on camera. Believe it or not, this is not a deleted scene from My Poor Little Angel, and the sly homeowner behind it of this trap is Kareem Camarena from Portal, California, not Kevin in the Weeks. Prior to this video, Katie's neighborhood had been attacked by a gang of criminals who had begun infiltrating driveways in the dead of night, stealing tools from their vehicles. Katie's motion-activated porch light did not deter Katie's the criminals, and the police were of little help, so the Camarenas decided to take the law into their own hands. Unfortunately, these suburban vigilantes didn't really. They were wearing masks and no weapons to clean the streets of Porterville. Instead, they took a motion-activated lawn sprinkler and installed it on their truck. The trap works perfectly, and when this criminal pulled into the Camarena's driveway that night, all he took was a face full of water. Well, I guess he was a burglar. I wish I wasn't the delivery boy from the local paper. Well, between that botched escape and the ECU thief who got scared by a jet of water, which criminal do you think was dumber? For the super stupid in the truck, press the like button, and for the idiot on the bike, press subscribe. All set. Amazing what clips of idiocy we have now. Okay, that criminal didn't steal a single tool, but the Camarena's homemade trap definitely surprised him. However, he shouldn't feel so bad. Some criminals don't need help external to appear stupid while committing their crimes. Walmart's official slogan is "Save money, live better," and that criminal decided to take his advice and saved himself a ton of money by shoplifting when the dumb thief took his items at a 5-finger discount. No, he cared too much about niceties, stuffing a giant box under his sweatshirt and hoping for the best while standing in line. There isn't much information online about this criminal, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he probably got caught, even though that was a pretty pathetic attempted crime. Not all of your criminals are so initos. Music. This thief is like a magician, capable of lifting up her dress and making an entire TV disappear in the blink of an eye. The crime occurred in Guaples, Costa Rica in 2015, and although the woman looks pretty stupid, crouching over the TV box, the way he holds it between his legs covers her in her dress and walks out of the store so naturally, it's undeniably impressive. I've heard people use the term "as thick as thieves," but I didn't realize they were talking about her thighs. According to local authorities, this woman was never identified or caught by the police, so you might be wondering why I call her stupid. Well, 1, her camera was right there. 2, stop defending criminals, and 3, look what would have happened if he had been caught. And nice, come on. These 2 women from Brazil tried to emulate our favorite Costa Rican criminal, but unfortunately they didn't have the thigh strength to get the job done. The thieves reportedly took a number of items from this shop's boudoir before stuffing them into their underwear and attempting to leave without paying. Luckily, they were caught red-handed, as the eagle-eyed manager saw what they were doing and forced them to lift up their dresses, revealing their stolen loot. I'm glad the shopkeeper caught the thieves, but I really hope they didn't put those items back on the shelves without giving them a thorough cleaning first. It turns out that this method of shoplifting is quite common. Although some criminals are more creative than others, they say beauty hurts. But when this criminal decided to steal a top from this clothing store, I don't think she anticipated how painfully embarrassing it would be when she was caught. She's a bit more crafty than those Brazilians. She dreamed of a custom pair of shorts with a built-in pouch that allowed her to hide her stolen goods. As a criminal babysitter unfortunately dressed for nothing, and after being caught by a shop assistant, she was forced to stand and wait while they lifted her dress and exposed her crimes to the rest of the store. The way that criminal was exposed, it was pretty embarrassing, but at least he thought a little about his robbery. The same can't be said for this next thief. When this Australian teenager placed a case full of alcohol on the counter of this store and crept up to the automatic doors, he thought he had orchestrated the perfect crime. The thief planned to grab the drink and run out of the store before anyone had time to find out. react, but unfortunately the manager was one step ahead of him, had noticed the cunning behavior of the teenager, which led him to casually reaching out to his left and using a wireless key fob to lock the store doors right at the start of the video. As a result, when the boy tried to grab the drinks and run, he found himself trapped inside the store. Had tried to steal some of Jack's mixed Daniels and Coca-Cola, but thanks to the quick thinking of the manager, the boy ended up with Jack forcing him to clumsily search his pockets for cash and have the world's most embarrassing conversation with the man you just tried to rob. Let's go from petty thieves and shoplifters to a crook who tried to rob something a little more substantial. This New Jersey burglar was skilled enough to rob an entire ATM, but unfortunately forgot to. Hiring a getaway driver with no way to get the ATM home, decided to resort to public transportation, drag the machine onto a bus and ask the driver to give him a ride. I don't know how much bus drivers in New Jersey make for this. Clearly he's happy with his salary because he closed the doors and left the criminal lying on the side of the road. This video is absolutely funny, but it was originally uploaded by internet influencer comedian Darius DJ, so sadly this is most likely a hoax. Even if the ATM robbery is fake, there are equally shocking examples of real criminals getting caught up in sticky situations. This video by Andrea Prodders India shows the moment a thief was discovered calling for help after getting stuck in a hole in the side of a temple. Reportedly, the thief had broken into the temple through a small ventilation window before stuffing his pockets with sacred ornaments made of silver. When the criminal tried to get back out through the hole, he got stuck and was left hanging on the wall while his legs kicked in. It would be some karma. After struggling for a while, the thief was forced to yell for help, alerting some people as it was from. As expected, these locals weren't particularly understanding, and instead of helping the criminal escape, they filmed him and called the police. I'm not sure how long he was trapped, the thief, in the wall, but something tells me he'll be trapped behind bars for a little longer of time. The images of this thief are quite damning, but even so it could be worse, since this criminal was not literally caught with his pants down. Detox in Arizona found himself in one of the most incriminating positions in the world as he was caught hanging upside down on an elementary school fence with his pants around his ankles. According to an eyewitness, the criminal climbed and slipped off the school fence. Primary thousands in attempted trespass. Apparently, when the offender fell off the fence, his baggy pants caught on the spikes, leaving him hanging by the ankles with his underpants exposed. The policeman soon arrived on the scene, helped the criminal down from the fence before handcuffing him and placing him in another awkward position, the back of a police car. It is still unclear why the man was trying breaking into an elementary school. Maybe he was there to look for, I don't know, coloring books, although being so stupid I doubt he would have the ability to color inside the lines. That guy found himself in a pretty embarrassing situation, but he's not the only criminal to be hung upside down. This burglar in England was found hanging by his shoelaces after trying to break a window and break into a house in Dartford, Kent. According to the local police, when the thief tried to climb through the broken window, managed to slip, and at the same time his shoes and shoelaces got caught in the window frame. The criminal was left hanging upside down for over an hour as a crowd of 30 people gathered to watch the commotion and taunt him as the homeowner returned from work. The burglar allegedly begged to be taken down, but unsurprisingly the homeowner, the house, called the police. The next offender encountered a similar problem during a home invasion. This video shows the moment a criminal in Melbourne, Australia attempted to break into a bookstore when the thief's backpack was caught in the door of the store, and he struggled with it for a considerable time, pulling with all his might before realizing that he could remove it. Despite robbing a bookstore, this thief clearly lacks the brain cells to be able to read. However, against all odds, the criminal had success somehow and then filmed him leaving the store with his safe, dragging the heavy load down the road. Well, he got away with it, although I'd say the video of his robbery is worth 10 times what was in the safe. All those criminals fell at the first hurdle. However, even when the thieves manage to enter the place where they are robbing, there is still a lot that can go wrong. I know what you are thinking, the new Mission Impossible looks really low budget. Well, actually this security video comes from Australia, not Hollywood, and shows the moment a criminal known as the Brighton Prowler broke into a suburban house. That nickname sounds pretty scary, but when you see this clumsy criminal dragging his belly on the floor, it's kind of hard to feel intimidated when The prowler broke into the house for the first time, managed to notice the security cameras, which prompted him to stop, drop to the ground and crawl out of sight. This display of intelligence was rather short-lived, and as he tried to crawl on the ground to avoid being seen, accidentally shuffled his way into view. If this wasn't stupid enough, the prowler, he turned and looked directly at the camera, giving the policeman a clear look on his face. According to police, the prowler tried to steal 2 safes from the house, but when a neighbor came to investigate what was going on, he ran away and jumped over the garden fence, escaping with empty-handed. Unfortunately, the police have not been able to identify or track down the criminals, so as of now the Brighton prowler is still on the loose, slipping through the streets. Australian streets looking for a new house to rob. Unsuccessfully, the house security cameras took the prowler's face pretty well, so he's incredibly lucky the police weren't able to identify him. Committing a crime without wearing a mask seems pretty silly, but then again, a disguise doesn't always make it harder to track down a criminal. When this criminal Illinois decided to hold up a gas station, he had the brilliant conceived in his mask arena. Unfortunately, his choice of costume left a lot to be desired as he entered the store and robbed the cashier with a clear plastic bag over his head. The offender only stole $60 from the gas station, but to be fair, that was probably all he could carry. It's not like he could use the bag he brought. It didn't take them long to identify the criminal and arrest him, and then he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for robbery and a series of previous crimes. The bandit of the plastic bags is pretty dumb but has competition. These thieves were caught on camera stealing alcohol from a convenience store, Louisa, Virginia, while putting on 2 watermelons carved with eye holes. It's unclear why these criminals decided to don these makeshift watermelon masks, but Louisa's police department didn't. It took a long time to identify one of them as 20-year-old Justin Rogers. Justin was charged with shoplifting, and although the police didn't explain how they tracked him down, if I had to guess, I'd say they probably used their own watermelons. Let's go from shoplifting to white-collar crime as we reviewed the story of an independent contractor who had to pay $563 in damages and served 2 years of probation after trying to defrauding the company he worked for. This is Alexander Goldensky, an independent contractor who decided to change careers, trying his hand at acting and insurance fraud at the same time. In this video, Alexander clearly pours a cup of ice on the floor before stepping on it, a bucket, and pretend to slip. After the video ends, the scammer allegedly rolled on the ground for a while until one of his colleagues found him and called an ambulance. After being taken to hospital, Alexander filed a large insurance claim against the company, asking them to pay for his ambulance ride and the allegedly expensive treatment he received for his non-existent injuries. The company was happy to pay, but first they had to conduct an investigation into the incident, an investigation that he discovered this damning surveillance video. The embarrassing video framed Alexander immediately, and instead of receiving a big insurance bum, he was forced to pay $563 in return to the insurance company, to serve 2 years of probation and submit to 14 hours of service. Community in general, Alexander's career as a con man didn't pan out, and he's unlikely to be hired as an independent contractor again, but if I were, he would try to find an agent and book some auditions with acting chops, as this clearly was born to be on the big screen, not on the floor. Watching Alexander blatantly steal at work is pretty daunting. However, not all criminals are that dishonest. Some of them, they really love good old-fashioned hard work. This criminal is either the stupidest or the most thoughtful thief in the world, because after stealing a lawn mower from a house in Port Arthur, Texas, he decided to do some yard work. He went out and mowed the owner's lawn. When the police arrived, the thief allegedly ran away from the cops, dragging the lawnmower behind him. Unfortunately, the weight of the lawnmower was becoming too cumbersome, which led him to come undone of her in an alleyway before escaping. The security camera was used to identify a local common criminal named Marcus Howard, but they couldn't track down Marcus, and according to reports, they're still looking for his whereabouts. If you ask me, even if the police find him, Marcus, the real winner in all of this, is the owner. After all, they got his lawn mower back and mowed his lawn for free. Sounds like a win-win to me. Marcus managed to escape from the police, but not all his criminals are lucky enough to evade arrest. In 2017, John Bell of Houston, Texas tried to rob a cell phone store. He broke in with a gun and demanded that the attendant empty the cash register. Unfortunately, both the merchant as his customers immediately caught him as they quickly ran out of the store and closed the door behind them. At that moment, John became the hostage as he was inside the store with no way out. Most thieves want to break into places, but for the next 8 minutes John did everything he could to desperately kick and bang on the door in a futile attempt to break out. Breaking glass and steel bars. Unfortunately, he was as skinny as he was stupid, and after a few minutes of praying and begging people to let him out, the police arrived, arrest the criminal, and then he was sentenced to 5 years in jail, even though technically he had already served 8 minutes. Now this next thief's housebreaking skills are more efficient than stupid, but the target of his robbery makes him look pretty dumb after he did all that effort to steal a Mickey Mouse toy from a piano store. I've heard of a cat burglar, but this burglar's interest in stuffed mice quite confusing. No one is sure why the criminal stole such a useless item, but hey, thieves are people too. Maybe he just gets lonely at night. The thief was never identified, but luckily a local charity bought a new one from the shop. Mickey Mouse toy for the window and left a stuffed Minnie Mouse as an added bonus. That's a nice gesture, or should I say a double gesture. Sorry about the bad joke. I'm not sure why a thief would steal a stuffed toy, but this next criminal has a much clearer motive for his crime: the hunger. This criminal, a new definition to the term, caught red-handed before of trying to steal a rack of lamb from a kebab restaurant. Unfortunately for the thief, these rotating skewers, they overheat to cook the mutton and keep it warm throughout the night, a fact he only learned after grabbing the metal. Thief's eyes were bigger than his stomach, and his tolerance for pain as the heat forced him to flee the room. Shop with nothing but burned hands and bruised Lego. Don't get me wrong, stealing food from a restaurant is pretty immoral behavior, but you know it's even worse being a quitter is. Disappointing to see this thief's lack of commitment to his crime, but to be fair, he's not the only criminal who gave up at the first hurdle. When this pirate from the front porch of Tacoma, Washington decided to steal this package, he saw it as a way to win easy money, did not know that this house was far from an easy target, and had accidentally stumbled upon the house of Jiren Barrow, the creator of a homemade trap. Porsche anti-pirate called the Blank Box. The story of the Blank Box begins in 2017 when Porsche pirates repeatedly stole the errand packages. Then he decided to take revenge on the thieves, so he built a fake package with shotgun blank and wire that emit a flash and a bang when lifted. As you can see, the so-called jarring blank box, it was quite effective in deterring the Porsche pirates, and before long all their criminals who tried to rob Green were sent to here, running around the front yard in fear. The device worked too. He started selling them, creating an online store to help other people with a Porsche pirate problem. Porsche, instead of spending lots of money on advertising, all Jaron had to do to sell the product was buy a camera on the porch, setting up a YouTube channel and exposing every thief that would try to steal his packages by showing how effective the Blank Box is in keeping his deliveries safe. Exposing all those Porsche hackers online must be very satisfying for him. However, I'm not sure that you shouldn't bother putting in all the effort, because sometimes the stupidest criminals expose themselves. In 2012, Hannah Zapata from Guaco, Texas, decided to go on a wave crime $6,000 robbery from a bank at gunpoint and robbed a Poncha Grand Am. By all accounts, the 19-year-old had gotten away with it after successfully evading police and unfortunately returning home rather than go into hiding and enjoying her newfound wealth. Anna decided to take out her camera and make a YouTube video. In this flawed video, Hannah boasts of her crimes in great detail while flashing her ill-gotten gains to the camera. As you can imagine, it didn't take long for the police to see the video, and they arrested Hannah the same day she uploaded it. With this online confession, the case was left open and closed, and Hannah was later sentenced between 10 and 20 years in prison for his wave of crimes. Then his life as a teenager and his career as a YouTuber came to an abrupt end. Upload your Self-confession to YouTube is pretty stupid but could be worse. In 2017, a thief named Jesse Berry outdid Hanai established himself as one of the dumbest criminals of all time after calling 911 for himself in December 2017. Jesse decided to channel his interior Santa Claus as he goes to rob a business in Citrus Heights, California. Going down a chimney. Santa has had a lot of practice going down chimneys over the years, but unfortunately this was Jesse's first time. When he reached the bottom of the chimney, he got stuck. He tried to get out through the narrow dark space but finally accepted his fate. He reached into his pocket and called 911 for help. Surely the local police passed by a good few minutes laughing at Jesse on the phone before heading to the scene to find him stuck in the chimney completely covered in soot. After another fit of laughter, the cops rescued him from the hole, took him to safety and charged him with a robbery charge. Jesse might be one of the only criminals to have called the police on himself, and he better watch his back. In prison no one will care. They don't like informers, not even those who give themselves away. Which of our clumsy and stupid thieves do you think was the dumbest? Share your answer with us if you like. Surprised all this information? Let me know in the comments of the video and never stop surprising you. Thank you very much for watching and subscribe to Surprising.